Hi Curious and welcome back. I think we can all agree here that this year has been very different from the previous ones. The coronavirus has seriously affected and changed all our lives. And although the last few months have been filled with some rather negative information, in 2020 we also had a fair share of funny and yet strange moments. And today, instead of the pandemic, we will talk about them. Do you remember which celebrity was reportedly chased by a UFO this year? Why did everyone think the leader of North Korea had passed away? Who made money on tickets to nowhere? What kind of astronomical object was discovered? And what kind went missing? Who was the Tiger King and why did he cause a worldwide obsession? This year has been amazing in many ways, so stay with us until the very end to find out a lot of interesting facts. But before we continue, don't forget to turn on the notifications and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. I was driving through San Bernardino with a friend of mine and a UFO was chasing me. I am almost sure of what I saw. Such words were spoken by Miley Cyrus 2 months ago during a conversation with Interview magazine. What's more, the singer reportedly made eye contact with an extraterrestrial being, which totally shocked her. This year she was not the only one who supposedly had a close encounter of a third kind. Rapper Post Malone said he had seen aliens more than once, and the controversial billionaire Elon Musk also believes in their existence. It was he who triggered a major storm with his Twitter post stating that it was clear that aliens had built the pyramid. And while keeping track of other unidentified flying objects, we must remember what happened in April. It was then that the news came out that the US Department of Defense itself published 3 naval videos of mysterious aircraft. It also confirmed the authenticity of the recordings, and although ufologists were rubbing their hands together claiming that the Pentagon had proved the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations, no such statement was made by the command. It was only stated that the aerial phenomena from the clips was simply unidentified. It would be a great ending to 2020 if aliens did actually make their presence known, right? Now, what if someone would offer you a trip to nowhere? Would you agree to such a thing? As much as it sounds hilarious, in fact, this year the Australian airline Qantas had offered a 7-hour flight to nowhere. What's more, this offer was addressed to people who longed for a trip in the skies again and was met with great interest. The tickets sold out like fresh buns, even though the prices ranged between $575 and $2,765. You're all probably thinking, well, what is this whole trip about? Well, we're here with explanations. The purpose of the flight was to travel nowhere, not to get to a particular destination. On October 10th, the plane took off from Sydney Airport and landed at the same place. And the Boeing 787 flew over the most beautiful places in Australia. During the 7 hours of sightseeing flight, passengers could see, among others, the Great Barrier Reef and Uluru Mountain. In this unusual way, the carrier coped with the pandemic crisis and the fact that international flights were not to take place because the country's borders are closed until the end of the year. Representatives of the airline do not rule out that they will soon have more proposals for trips to nowhere for their customers, and this form of travel has become popular also in Asia, and other airlines want to introduce it to their offers. Of course, the year 2020 was also filled with many unusual weather phenomenons. California was hit by a heat wave which caused huge and devastating fires. Although they have been haunting the area for many years during the summer period, this time the situation was much more serious. A so-called fire tornado was created and it swelled, as tornadoes do, and as you can imagine, it caused great havoc around. In other parts of the world, on the other hand, waterfalls were flowing upwards. Although it happens very rarely, it does still happen. The inverted waterfalls could be seen in Slovakia, Scotland and Australia, and it was all because of a very strong wind blowing up there which pushed the water upwards. Back in March, when the world stopped and we hardly ever left our homes, nature was regaining control. Wild animals took to the streets, and sometimes there were more animals than cars on the roads. This just shows that should humans randomly disappear from the face of the earth, the animals would be just fine. Deer walked around Zakopane in Poland and around Berlin in Germany. Wild boars roamed around Barcelona, and monkey gangs went wild in Thailand. Marine life returned to the canals of Venice, with fish and swans appearing there, and dolphins returned to the port of Sardinia, where they haven't been seen in a very long time. Those scenes from 2020 will surely remain in our memories for a long time. Over the past months, many TV series have allowed us to break away from the sad reality, and one of the biggest and most unexpected hits has become Tiger King. The 7-episode documentary appeared on Netflix in March and stayed on top of the most watched productions list for over 15 days. That's longer than any film or show in the platform's history. If there are people among you who haven't watched it yet, we will give you a quick rundown. The story is about Joe Exotic, an exotic animal breeder, and his rival Carole Baskin, an animal rights activist. But contrary to appearances, it is not all that trivial story. On the contrary, it is full of incredible threads and eccentric characters. While watching the show, the audiences could see beautiful big cats, paid criminals, an FBI investigation, explosions, forgeries, huge amounts of money, politics, unexpected marriages. It's all as if from a good action movie, but additionally, it was based on true facts. The great popularity of Tiger King inspired meme makers, which delighted stars, and some of them, such as Edward Norton or Dax Shepard, volunteered to play in a possible cinema version of the story. And it is not out of the question that the story will actually be continued. The news of the alleged passing of the North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un was also quite a sensation in 2020. When such reports appeared on the internet in April, speculations began to spread. Some wrote that he had already battled health problems for a long time, others that his sister Kim Yo-young would take over as head of state. But no one really knew what was going on in North Korea, which was only proof of how limited the knowledge about the country is. The dictator was not seen in public for about 3 weeks or so and was not even present at his grandfather's birthday ceremony. Then, as if nothing had happened, he once again appeared in the media when he attended the opening of a fertilizer factory, and nothing seemed to indicate that his life was ever in danger. The North Korean authorities have not yet explained in any way Kim's absence for most of April, and knowing how secretive the country is, they probably never will. Another event that has not been explained is the disappearance of a star. Now, we're not talking about celebrities in the covers of magazines and newspapers, but about a celestial body, and not just any random one. This star was 2.5 million times brighter than the sun and was at a staggering distance of 75 million light years away from Earth in the Kinman Dwarf Galaxy. Astronomers have been observing it since 2001, and then it disappeared without a trace in 2020. Such a phenomenon has never been recorded before because stars don't just disappear. With the equipment that scientists now have, this puzzle will unfortunately not be explained. The chance of this only arises in 2025 when the observation of the sky will be carried out with an extremely large telescope called ELT. It will allow for extremely detailed studies of the sky, much more accurate than those conducted with the Hubble telescope. While some celestial bodies disappeared under mysterious circumstances in 2020, others were discovered. And here we are talking about planet TOI 1338b, which is almost 7 times larger than Earth and orbits around 2 stars. The most unusual thing about it is who was the first person to observe it, because that person was a 17-year-old Wolf Sukir during his 3rd day of internship at NASA. The young astronomer has long been passionate about space, and he is a great Star Wars fan. He compared his discovery to the fictional planet Tatooine, on which Luke Skywalker was born, as double sunsets can be observed in both places. This year we're also amazed by events in the royal family, especially the so-called Megxit. In January, Prince Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, announced that they were giving up their titles and wanted to become financially independent of the British monarchy. It was a real sensational event, and in an attempt to explain its causes, a lot of theories were developed. Some blamed Meghan for this, others believed that the princely couple simply wanted a normal life, and others that the reason for this move was a conflict with the Queen. Although more or less likely, the fact is that Harry and his wife moved to California, where they bought a multi-million-dollar property and set up their own company, which will produce television programs in cooperation with Netflix. And so what do you think, Curious? How will you remember the year 2020? What surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next video.